A high-ranking Haitian government official says a gang is demanding $1 million for each of the 17 missionaries it's holding captive. 16 Americans and 1 Canadian were kidnapped in Port-au-Prince after visiting an orphanage Saturday. According to officials, 5 children are among those taken, including an 8-month-old baby. Manuel Bojorquez is in Port-au-Prince with more.
Haitians took to the streets of Port-au-Prince Monday to protest their government's response to the country's multiple crises, including a surge in violent kidnappings, a deadly earthquake, and the assassination of their president. This comes days after authorities believe a violent gang known as 400 Mawozo abducted 17 missionaries from an Ohio-based Christian aid organization. A family of 5 from Oceana, Michigan is among the Americans kidnapped. Todd Dooling is the pastor at a local church there.
To have it hit that close to home is extremely heartbreaking.
Linda works with children in Haiti. She asked we not mention her last name for fear of retaliation. She says the children have a special prayer before leaving the house.
Mommy Linda, please pray that we will be invisible, and so that when we walk the streets, we won't be taken. And yet they are.
Meanwhile, FBI tactical teams are in Port-au-Prince assisting with negotiating the safe return of the American and Canadian missionaries. James Galliano is a former special agent with the FBI's hostage rescue team.
You're trying to do 2 things at the same time: maintain open lines of communication and prepare for the worst.
Just to underscore the poverty that is at the root of all of this, Linda says in the past, when they've had to negotiate with the gangs, the #1 thing they ask for is food. Manuel Bojorquez, CBS News, Port-au-Prince, Haiti.
For more, I want to bring in Fran Townsend. She served as Homeland Security Advisor to President George W. Bush. Hi there, Fran. It's good to have you on the program. So we heard Manuel Bojorquez say that Haitian gangs frequently ask for food supplies as ransom. But this gang wants millions of dollars. Where does that leave negotiations?
So oftentimes these negotiations begin with wildly unreasonable demands that even the kidnappers don't expect. I mean, we have to remember the poverty in Haiti is just sort of soul crushing. Not only have there been, as mentioned in the package, earthquakes, presidential assassinations, they've also lived through hurricane season. And so disaster after disaster, the ruling government is not very effective. And the first thing that people look for is security, so they can feel they can walk the streets. This group has gotten increasingly sort of aggressive. You know, there was a UN study that said this year so far there have been 330 kidnappings, which would be 100 more than last year. And there's a group in Haiti that did a study, said by September there had been 600 kidnappings so far this year, which means they're up 300% in the last 3 months.
It's remarkable to think about that. Fran, what sort of protocols does the FBI have for situations like this?
So first and foremost, you know, the FBI deployed a team to Port-au-Prince. They'll work with the staff at the U.S. Embassy there. And first and foremost, what you want to do is keep a line of communication open. It wouldn't be unusual that while that line of communication is open, while you're talking about demands, are the kidnappers asking for food, medicine, water, all those sorts of things. The first order of business is to try and get those children out of there and anyone who may be sick or injured.
Well, do we know, I mean, how does this work? How is the FBI communicating with the gang?
You know, that very much depends on the gang itself and how they're willing to engage. We don't know. The FBI has not said, are these cell phones? Are they radios, shortwave radios? We don't really know how they're communicating.
Well, I also want to get your thoughts, Fran, while we have you on the FBI's Tuesday morning raid of Oleg Deripaska. The Russian oligarch has ties to Vladimir Putin and pardoned Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort. What evidence is needed for such a raid?
So, as we know, there has to be some probable cause to show why you're going into that location and what it is you expect to find. It'll be very interesting to see, because one of the things after a search warrant is executed, there has to be a filing of a return for that warrant to show the court what it is you went in and seized pursuant to that warrant. We'll learn a lot from that returns on the seizure to see what they were looking for, what they did in fact seize. But you've got to expect that this has got to do with money laundering, corruption, that sort of thing.
Finally, Fran, I also want to just get your personal reflections on the death of Colin Powell and the legacy that he leaves behind, because I remember covering the Bush administration when you served as Homeland Security advisor to President Bush, and in those days and weeks and years after 9/11, the atmosphere of uncertainty and the idea that threats were ever present, I imagine, forged a kind of bond that only people who served together could sort of understand. I know that General Powell was a mentor to you. What did he teach you?
You know, you talk about a steady voice when there was chaos. He was always very calm. He was always a gentleman. And the thing one of the great takeaways to me was, he said, you know, you're never, especially in a crisis, going to have all the information that you want to have to make that decision. You have to make up your mind that if you have 70% of the facts or 80% of the facts that you can get to make that decision, then you rely on your instincts and experience to make a decision on imperfect information. You won't always be right, but you have to have the courage and show the leadership to be willing to take the risks and make those decisions. And he was just such an extraordinarily experienced. There was no phone call he wouldn't take. There was no question you couldn't ask. You know, for someone as accomplished as he was, I was always struck by his humility. He never forgot. As we would laugh, we both came from very humble beginnings. And we would both say, you never forget where you came from. And I thought that was quite extraordinary for him, given all that he had achieved.
And just one more for you, Fran, because I do know a bit about your background and how you came into the administration. And people may not realize, you know, for a time, people in Washington thought you were a Democrat because of your previous service. People can go Google. Fran has an extensive biography, but that includes also working for then Attorney General Janet Reno. So in any case, I wonder what his manner and affect and the way he sort of operated in Washington sort of taught you, because we live in a time now where I think it's very difficult to imagine, you know, this kind of exchange of ideas in a way that is free from sort of suspicion, where there is a good faith intent on both sides, where there is a trust, I suppose, I guess is the word I'm searching for here, on both sides. It seems to be something that isn't there, certainly, many, many times in Washington now.
No, Elaine, you're exactly right. I mean, one of the great experiences that we both shared was serving in multiple administrations at very senior levels. And so it really didn't matter. Labels didn't matter then. Nobody knew if you were a career soldier or a career public servant, whether you were a Republican or a Democrat. The whole idea was to take your experience, give the best advice you could give to political leaders, and allow them to make the decisions, understanding that was my job was not to make the decision. My job was to advise them based on my experience. And the sad thing, as you point out, Elaine, is now I think that would be much harder for folks to do. I think you'll see fewer people in a position to be able to serve multiple administrations of both parties. And that's unfortunate, because then those political leaders lose that perspective.
Well, Fran Townsend, it's really great to talk to you, and it's really great to have you on the program. And by the way, Fran, you should know she was known also to have the best shoes in the West Wing. I hope you don't mind me saying that,
That's
Fran.
great.
I hope you'll take that as a badge of honor. Okay, all right.
I do.
Okay,
I do.
good. All
Great
right.
to see you.
Nice to see you. Thanks, Fran.
Yep. Bye.